In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to move from the headspace, the mind, into the heart space, the spirit. And when I learned what I'm about to share with you in this video, my life was completely transformed. I went from living in a constant state of anxiety and worry and fear to a state of inner peace and love and joy. Living in the mind all the time causes anxiety, worry, stress, fear, shame, regret, insecurity, all these things. And what you'll notice about the mind is that it's always focused on either the past or the future. It's never in the present, it's never in the now. And so it's overthinking. Now, there's a quote that says this, and I don't know who said it, but I've heard it a bunch, and it's a famous quote. And what it says is this: the mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. And what does that mean? Well, it means that the mind is a tool. It's something that we need. It's something that we use here on earth. But it's not who we are, and we are not to be living from the mind all of the time. So here's the question. How do we stop living in our minds? Well, two things. The first thing is we have to recognize that we are not our mind. We have a mind, but we are not the mind. The voice in our head is not our voice. And then the second thing is meditation. Meditation is the vehicle that takes us from the headspace to the heart space. And then as we approach the doors of our heart, there's a key that allows us to access our heart. And then this same key keeps us in the heart. And this key is letting go. Letting go. Stop trying to control everything that's happening. Let the experience do its thing. That's the key. Let go. Letting go will get you into the heart space and it will keep you there. But what you'll notice is that as you approach that heart space in your meditation, the voice in your head will increase and you'll start getting all these random thoughts, and the mind will try to talk you out of it. And then if you listen to that and you get distracted, then the whole experience will kind of just end, and then it's going to be a lot harder to get back into that heart space. So just remember that. That's a sign that as you're approaching the heart space, when the voice in your head starts to increase and you start getting all these different thoughts, that's a sign that you're about to enter in. And just stay focused and recognize that the more you let go, the easier it becomes during this time of meditation. And then once you're in the heart space, allow the experience, allow your heart to take full control, completely let go, and this is when the magic happens. So once you're in the heart space, the first thing you'll recognize is that the heart is here now in the present moment. It's not fixated on the past, and it's not fixated on the future. That's the mind. The mind is always worrying about the future or regretting the past. And the one thing the mind cannot do is just be present, and that's what the heart's for. The heart is what's always present in the moment. And what you'll notice is that some of the best times, the best experiences of your life came when you were in the present moment. Something happened that brought you into the now. The eternal now is what they call it, but it's just this awareness of the present moment where you're not fixated on the past or the future. Those special moments in life are so let me say it like this. You've been in the heart space when you maybe didn't even realize it. Maybe it was when you were listening to a song or a movie, or maybe it was when you held your child for the first time, or when you went on a date, or when you were just embracing a sunset. It's a lot simpler than what we make it, but whatever it was, when you get into this heart space, you know, because it's just this inner peace, and you're not worrying about what happened yesterday and what you have to do tomorrow. You're just fully in the moment. And that is the heart space. That's what it's all about. It's about getting into the stillness, getting into the silence. And this is the very beginning of the journey of living from the heart, is learning how to be present, learning how to be conscious of the moment, and not being tossed to and fro from every little thought that tries to distract us and tries to bring us into the past or the future. So once you're in the heart space and you're in the present moment and you're just still, and there's this inner peace that's overwhelming your being, one of the things you'll notice is that you'll start to feel like this warmth from within you. Your whole body will just kind of get warm, and you'll start to feel love and joy. Maybe you'll start laughing or you start crying. And when this happens, this is the very beginning, okay? So this is kind of like the entryway into the really infinite depths of the heart. And so when you're in this place, what you'll start to recognize is that time just kind of stands still. And so when you think about some of those special moments in your life, think about how after the moment happened, you look back at it and you were like, gosh, it was like time stood still, or time flies by when I'm having fun, or, where did time go? Time becomes kind of like this irrelevant thing when you're in the heart space, because the heart doesn't really know time. The heart is just in the now, in the present moment. The mind is what is fixated on time. The mind is what is always trying to calculate time, but the heart doesn't know time. The heart knows eternity, and eternity is outside of time. Eternity is not a time that starts that then just goes on forever. Eternity transcends time altogether. And so the heart is the doorway into eternity, into eternal life. In this place, in this sacred stillness of presence, you are now experiencing union with God. And this is when mystical experiences happen. This is when the intuition arises. This is when synchronicities start to flow. This is when you begin to age less, and miracles happen, and healings happen, and stress begins to vanish, and you begin to step into your divine design. And in this place, you discover your true nature, your true self, and you recognize that who you think you are is not who you really are. So you discover who you really are, your true nature, your true self, and then you begin to experience it. And then once you discover and experience it for the first time, then you can begin to live from that place. Okay, you begin to live from that place, and as you live from that place, your world is transformed from the inside out. And in this place, you recognize that love is not just a feeling or an emotion, it's actually who you are. You are love itself. You are peace itself. You are happiness itself. Rumi, the Persian mystic, said that you are what you seek. And so we spend our whole lives trying to find fulfillment and a sense of who we are, and peace and joy and all these things. We search externally. We search out there somewhere for this, when in reality it's always been within us. And once we taste this and experience it, and we know deep within our being that this is who we are, then we realize that we've been looking for love in all the wrong places, because we are actually love itself. And when we come into this awareness of who we are as love itself, then this is when divine union happens. And this is when your life is transformed. This is when you step into your purpose, you follow your bliss. This is when the flow of life begins to flow out of you, and there's this peace, there's this inner knowing. So you have intuition, there's all these things, these synchronicities. Like I said, it begins to flow. Life becomes easy in the sense of you're not trying to make things happen. Things are happening for you. The universe is opening doors for you. And this is what we were created for. And so living in the heart is the place where we realize who we are, and we enter into our true state of being. And we recognize that true state of being is rest, it's peace. That is who we really are. It's not something that we have to chase, that we have to go out and try to attain. We have it within us, but we would never know, because we're living in our minds all the time, and the mind is always fixated on the future or the past and everything else that's just not the truth, and we get blinded to who we really are. And so that's why we spend our entire lives trying to find it elsewhere, when in reality we've always had it. It's like you're looking around the house for your lost keys that are in your pocket. And you search the whole house and you spend all day looking all around. You go out in the backyard, you search the couch, then you go out and you look in your car and you can't find it anywhere, right? Why? Because they're in your pocket. They're where you least would have expected it. Within you, you've always had it. And that's the analogy. That's the truth there. Jesus talks about in the Gospel of Thomas, he talks about the kingdom of heaven, which is a metaphor for unity consciousness being within you. And as you wake up, or as you recognize this within you, that the kingdom of heaven is within you, then you can see it everywhere else. It's within you and all around you, is what he says. So there's a transformation that happens from the inside out, and you begin to see it once you experience it for yourself. But you have to experience it first within yourself before you can actually see it in everyone and everything, and before it can start to flow out of your life in a natural way. But it goes back to being here now in the present moment, which is so important. That is the key. Being in a state of being in a state of rest means you're in the present moment. You're not fixating on the past or the future. You're just here now in the moment. And when you are in this place, you are walking in your true identity, your true nature, your true essence. And you realize that who you are is divine, infinite, and limitless. And the potentials for your life are beyond anything you could ever dream, ask, or imagine. And this is when the miracles start to happen. I've been talking a lot about the concept of God being within us. I wrote a book about it. I do teachings on it. I make videos about it. I'm always talking about it. But now it's time to experience it, to go within and to have a life-changing experience of the divine presence, to where we can actually see the results in our lives, and it can become a practical thing where we're not just thinking about it in a conceptual way, but we are experiencing it in a direct way that brings forth fruit in our lives. And so that's what I'm interested in now. I'm interested in teaching people how to experience the divine presence, which can only be experienced through the heart. So the heart is the doorway to heaven. And heaven is not some far off place in the glory clouds up there somewhere. Heaven is within you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. So we have to go within. We have to go into our heart space. We have to not just visit here and there. We have to learn how to live from there. And then we use the mind when we need to use the mind. But again, the mind is a tool. It's a very helpful tool, especially in meditation. Now here we go. I'm going to give you an example of how the mind can be a tool. It can actually help us get into the heart space. So when you're meditating, if you focus on one thing, one object, one thought, a feeling, an emotion, doesn't matter what it is, a scripture, a verse, doesn't matter. You focus on that one thing. What that does during your meditation or during your contemplative prayer is that it gets your awareness fixated on one object, and then all the other thoughts that try to come up just kind of fade away the more you focus in on that one object during your meditation. And the more you do that, the more it brings you into the heart space. So think about like when you listen to a song, which, by the way, music is a great way to get into the heart space, as y'all probably already know. But when you're listening to a song, something about that song, maybe it's the lyrics or maybe it's the instruments or a high note or whatever that happens in the song, it touches your heart, and then you just focus on it. Or maybe it brings up a memory or a person or a feeling or an emotion or an experience, and you start to just dial in on that. And then the music is helping you stay dialed in on that. And then the next thing you know, you're crying. Well, once you're crying, you're in your heart space. You're there. Okay? Well, what happened? Well, something came up, you begin to focus on something. You weren't just in your thinking mind thinking about all these random things, and the voice in your head began to become quiet, and you just begin to focus. Same thing with a movie, right? Something in a movie, you're focused in on a movie. That is a form of meditation, believe it or not. Something happens in the movie that gets your attention, and then it touches your heart, and you start to cry. You start to think about things, and you start to recognize that the movie is portraying a much bigger message than you thought, right? There's some kind of theme there, and then you begin to recognize how it relates to your own life, and you start thinking about whatever. But the point is, the movie becomes a form of meditation because it brings you into that focus point, and you begin to meditate on that one thing. The voice in your head becomes quiet. You enter that stillness. You begin to cry. You begin to feel that warmth within your body. You begin to feel the love, the joy, the peace, all the things. And then the next thing you know, you're there. You are there. You are in the heart space. So the method, meditation is a method, but the method doesn't really matter. You've got to find what works best for you, and the beautiful thing about it is that it's going to be unique to you. So figure it out. What is it for me that helps me get into the heart space the best? Is it meditation? Is it silence? Is it prayer? Is it music? Is it a combination of meditation and music, which for me is what does it for me just about every time? That meditation, which I'll be doing a video on that soon too. Meditation and music, and just music in general, and how it relates to spirituality. But again, it can be anything that helps you, and it's going to be something that is very special and unique to you. So get into the heart space, live from that place, and watch your world transform, and experience God as the divine presence that is within you, and experience your true nature. This is where Christ is, the Christ within you, the divine mystery, the inner light. All these things that we talk about in concept it's time to start experiencing them for ourselves, and it's time to start seeing the potential of our lives that we've been limited to because we've been stuck in our thinking mind. The mind is not bad, again, but it's just not the place that we're supposed to be living from all of the time. We're supposed to be living from the heart and allowing the divine flow to completely transform our lives. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful or insightful or informative, leave a thumbs up at the bottom of the screen, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.